Hey everyone, so in this video I want to go through a brief tour of how the course is laid out in Moodle. So when you first click on our course after logging into Moodle, you should be presented with this. At the very top is the Getting Started section, which you've probably already found. I'm sure that you've read the welcome letter and you've already seen the Getting Started video. So the rest of the links up here is just our course syllabus. Again, that lives in a Google Doc, so you'll see any changes reflected immediately. A tentative schedule, and a Q&A forum. So the Q&A forums here, if you have any questions, feel free to post them in here. Anybody's free to go in and answer those. I'll definitely be monitoring the forum, so if nobody else addresses a question, I'll be sure to chime in there and respond to the question. Additionally, I do want to point out that Slack is available, so that's another venue that you may want to use to ask any questions that you're having, and you might get a little bit quicker feedback there, or some real-time assistance if anyone else is already in the chat room. Alright, so let's take a look at this tentative schedule real quick. This is how I envision the course going. I try to be very predictable, so each week you can see the Monday for that week. The date is laid out here in this left-hand column. Each week we're going to go over one chapter. So we're doing 6 chapters in total, 7 weeks. The last week we're going to do the final exam. So you can see we'll do chapter 1 here in the first week. We'll set up Python as well. And then as far as assignments, we're going to have homework, labs, and class introductions. And that process is pretty much going to repeat, with the exception of the introductions, each week. And you'll see here in these last couple weeks we start working on those programming assignments. So program 1, 2, and 3 will be due these weeks. As far as due dates, I do try to be pretty predictable with those. I've already populated the calendar here in Moodle so that you can go in and use that. You can click Go to Calendar, and you can see I try to use Friday as my due date. So Friday by 11:59 p.m. The Moodle server time, so Eastern time zone, will be when your assignments are due. So if you hover over these dates, or if you just click on them, you can see what's due on that date. The only exception here is if we jump ahead to October, our last week of class is actually going to end on a Thursday. So, got to get rid of program 4 here, but the final exam will be due on Thursday, October 5th. Alright, so the rest of Moodle here is our different modules, which correspond one-to-one to a chapter in the book. So this first week we're doing chapter 1 introduction, and I try to lay these out very similarly each week. You can see at the top are module learning outcomes. These are big takeaways from the chapter, what I expect for you to learn and be able to demonstrate or do after we complete that chapter. And then each module is broken up into 3 sections: watch, read, and complete. So watch will be our lecture videos. Right now I have installing Python up here, but you can also expect another one to get added for chapter 1, which will correspond with these lecture slides, so you can download those, the ones that I use in the video. This is a Python download link, so you'll use that as part of the installing Python video. And then down at the bottom is what you need to complete for that week. So chapter 1 homework, chapter 1 labs, and class introductions. I want to come back to these two so that I can explain the zybook just a little bit. But first, let's take a look at class introductions. Okay, so the whole point of this is just to familiarize yourself with some of the other students in the course. So there's 4 things that I want for you to post about. Really easy: your name, major, where you're from, and what you hope to learn in the course. Feel free to respond to other students. It's not required as part of the grade. As long as you include these 4 things, each one's worth 25%. So that's a total of 100% on the discussion assignment. Okay, let's go back into Module 1. These links down at the bottom for the complete, the Chapter 1 homework, Chapter 1 labs, they really just take you directly to the zybook. So let's click on one of them. We'll click on homework. And now's a good time for me to probably explain what is the homework that I keep talking about. This is going to be 10% of our grade, so what's expected there? Well, there's two types of activities that can be completed as you're going through and reading the Zai book. One type of activity we already see right here is a participation activity. So like I said, I like to think of the Zai book as an interactive ebook. Um, Here's a note from me just reminding you that the homework is to complete all participation and challenge activities for this chapter. You're going to read sometimes very little on a page, like a couple sentences here, and then we'll have some illustrations. Sometimes it's a few paragraphs. But the main theme is there is a lot of illustrations, there's a lot of participation activities through here to make sure that you're understanding the concepts as you go through. Participation activities are very simple. So usually they just have you either answering questions like down here or doing something interactive like rearranging how this program is going to execute. And then they allow you to click on buttons like run program, and we can see what's going on in memory and also what's going on here in our console on the computer as we start printing things out. Okay, so uh, the Zai book recommends that as you're going through reading, you go ahead and complete your participation activities then. Um, they also recommend that you read the chapter before you watch the lecture videos. Just to throw that out there. You may need to combine the two, especially if a concept's fuzzy. That's the whole point of the lecture video, is to try to give you a slightly different uh, look at the material than just what's in the book. Okay, so chapter 1 actually doesn't have any challenge activities, so to show you what a challenge activity looks like, let's jump over to chapter 2. Because both of those activities is what's going to make up your homework grade. Alright, so we see participation activities here, we're familiar with those. Challenge activities look almost identical to participation activity, with the exception of there's blue right here. Also, once you complete an activity, I should have mentioned, this one may take a second here, but this little chevron up here fills in with orange, and that's what lets you know that you've already completed it. So likewise down here for challenge activities, this is going to fill in with blue once you've completed it. Challenge activities are just a little bit tougher than participation activities. They're designed, as you can probably expect from the word there, to challenge you just a little bit based on what you've read. Now the recommendation from the Zai book is after you've watched the lecture, come back and then try to do the challenge activities. So read participation activities, watch lecture, come back, and then answer the challenge activities. That's just the recommended way. So if you want, as you're going through and you're reading the chapter, feel free to go ahead and do the challenge activities then. Okay, so how is the grade computed? Well, when it comes to participation activities, completing it is all you need to do. If it's questions and you get something wrong, as long as you eventually get it right, then you get full credit for that participation activity. And of course, it's an average over the whole chapter, so each participation activity put together. The challenge activity is a little bit different. The first time you answer it, if you answer it wrong, it does not count against you. But the second time, if you continue answering it wrong, it does start counting against you. So, to make sure that you're not just going in there and trying to brute force the answer, like if it's multiple choice, and you just try all choices until you get it right, what I do is if you get an 80% or higher average on the challenge activities in the chapter, then I'll give you a 100 for the challenge activities. If you get less than an 80%, then that's just going to be the grade that you got. Alright, so that should alleviate a little bit of concern about trying things and getting things wrong, to where that if you're organically trying to go through and naturally answer these challenge activities, you should get a 100. And I haven't had any problems in previous semesters with with students in that regard. Okay, so that is the quick rundown of the Zybook as far as participation and challenge activities. The next thing would be our labs. So each week we're going to have labs that try to test your skills and knowledge a little bit about the material that we're learning in that chapter. So this again is just a link that goes directly to the Zybook, and really it just drops you into the right section. So we're looking at labs for chapter 1. We can see it brought us all the way to the end of chapter 1 here. 1.13 is our first lab, Hello World. And what you'll need to do is complete all the labs for the chapter, and the grades from those labs will be averaged together so that that'll be the grade that gets recorded for the week for your lab grade. So in this particular chapter, we have 2 labs. Sometimes we'll have more labs. If we look at chapter 2, we actually have 4 labs that week. So labs, typically you'll write your code right here in the browser, or you'll copy and paste it if you're working out of idle or some other way on your desktop. And you'll just go to submit mode and submit for grading. It'll then come back with your feedback and let you know. You can see in this particular lab that there's 5 points available. Those 5 points are going to be based on the criteria of the assignment. So there's different tests that I can put in and configure, and I can test to make sure that something's available in your output, or there's certain parts of your code that are present, so that I can make sure that you definitely got the right solution. One nice thing, and this is one of the reasons I like using the Zybook, is you can go ahead and keep submitting until you get this right. So you can take that feedback, what you got wrong, and you can go back and fix that and submit it so that you can get, in this case, all 5 points. Now what I do is I run a report after the due date based on that 11:59 p.m. time of the date that something was due, to see what was your highest score at that point. So you don't have to worry about submitting and getting something wrong. If you're looking for feedback and you're trying to figure out if you're doing something right, feel free to come in here and submit your solution just to see what it comes back with, and that may give you an idea of what you need to do to get on the right track. Alright, so I know that that was kind of the shotgun approach here to how to use the Zybook. I think it's pretty easy to use. The interface has changed a little bit since last semester, uh, but I don't think that that's going to hinder anyone in here. So, uh, chapters on the left. Each chapter is made up of pages, or sections as they call them, and then labs at the bottom. So additionally, what I like to have students do is, if you go into your library, there's one book that everybody gets included, and that's How to Use a Zybook. So right here, How to Use Zybooks, if you click on this, I'd really encourage everyone to go through this here in the first week. It's very short. I think there's only 5 sections in the chapter, and each section's usually about a page long. But what it does is it goes through and describes in detail what these participation activities are, what the challenge activities are, and how to complete labs. Not sure why it's giving me a hard time coming up here. I had this problem yesterday too, but if I go back and click on library and then click on how to use Zybooks again, it usually comes up at that point. There we go. Okay, so table of contents, like I said, 1 chapter, 5 sections. Just come in here. Once you get done, you'll have a much better understanding of what the Zybook is, and what some of their different aspects of where they lay things out on the page, so that you can understand what's going on. Alright, so that's basically it. Once we complete a week, we'll move on to the next chapter, and you'll see that that same pattern is going to complete. We got our module learning outcomes, watch, read, and then complete some activities. Alright, so I hope you enjoy the course. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. If not, I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you.